What's up, guys? I know it's been a minute since I've dropped a video on this channel, and really I'm just still trying to figure this out. I'm kind of spread out between like 3 going on 4 channels right now, and this one is pretty much the smallest one at this point. So it's like, damn. But ultimately I do want this to become a growing community and lay out the foundation of what my brand is moving forward. So I will definitely be more consistent on this channel moving forward. It's just a lot of stuff happened. PC broke. Yeah, you guys aren't here for my life story. Let's just get into the topic. Today's topic is about being successful at a young age and the pressures of that, and why everyone wants to be successful at a young age, and ultimately why I feel like that's not necessarily within your best interest, right? And what I mean by that is, I think being successful at a young age really just isn't a good thing. Now, that is not to say that that's not something that can work out. I'm just saying, ideally, that's not something that you necessarily want, and it's not necessarily as good as it seems. Really, let's just get into it. Success at a young age has always been a desirable feat, just because, like, I think people just value the idea of youth as a whole, and 9 times out of 10, if you're young and successful, most successful people are older. So you are essentially an anomaly, and it's great in the moment when you're young and successful, but what happens to these people later on in life? Why is it not desirable to be young and successful? Why is it that you hear about somebody all the time who experienced a level of fame as a kid, but as an adult, they kind of spiral and you don't really hear about them anymore, and a bunch of other negative stuff? Honestly, what I said is probably one of the better things that could happen to people like this. Why is that? It's important to acknowledge the main aspect of this development. When you're young, you're still growing. Even me, I'm about to be 23 this year, and I still don't necessarily feel like I'm even an adult yet. Now, I definitely am, but I remember being 16 and thinking like, yeah, I know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, and lo and behold, I'm doing nothing that I was doing at 16. 18, I felt the same way. 20, I felt the same way, and yet your life 3 years into the future never ends up being exactly what you thought it was going to be. And 9 times out of 10 when this happens, you know, you think that'd be something to be disappointed about, like, damn, like, I'm not where I wanted to be. I thought I'd be rich at this age. But usually upon actually getting to that age that you thought you'd be successful at and looking back, at least for me, like, I kind of leave that situation thinking like, thank God I wasn't successful at this age, because I learned way more that would put me in more of a position to be able to maintain my success rather than just be a one-hit wonder, rather than just be someone who fizzled out fast, right? Think about any rapper ever that blew up as a child. I'm talking like 10, 9 to like 16. Where are they now? It's very rare that they're still in a place of success. And that's simply because, like, once again, who you are when you are a kid will not be who you are for the rest of your life. I remember this rapper, Lil Blurry, and his whole gimmick was basically being a kid. Backpack Kid, another one. His whole gimmick was being a kid, because once again, when you're a kid, like, no one really gives a shit what you gotta say. It's like, oh shit, this nigga's a kid doing some big shit. That's how they market kids. Like, that's what it is. You're not really a character yet. You're not supposed to be a character yet. You're not even really supposed to be in the public eye, because once again, you're still developing. You need to be allowed to make your mistakes in private so that your growth isn't stunted. These dudes were successful as kids, as rappers, but like, yo, your voice changes, you change, your aesthetic changes. All this shit that your mom was telling you was fly back in like 2018, you're like, damn, son, I actually kind of like this more. I actually kind of like this more, and I like this more. You know what I'm saying? Like, development is so important. And the thing is, now more than ever, I think the reason why Gen Z and Gen Alpha is having this like age crisis, where, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm 22. There is no reason why I have been called Unc more than a nigga who's actually an uncle, or even just, why am I being called Unc the way that I am, bro? The fact is, I'm still young. I'm not even 25 yet. I've been called Unc more times than a nigga whose brother has kids. But I think part of the reason like we have this age obsession is because now more than ever, due to the age of the internet and the lack of regulation and safety in regards to protecting children, we are seeing now people blowing up younger and younger and younger, rappers blowing up younger and younger and younger. Look at the streaming landscape. Most of the people that are blowing up, like one of the most famous streamers right now, Rakai, young as shit, but like, And I get like the kids are looking at him and they're like, oh shit, like I want to be that. But like, bro, every nigga with common sense is looking at the stuff that this kid does. And it's like, bro, this is not like, this shouldn't even be desirable, bro. There's probably some fucked up shit that this nigga's battling in his own life. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is he is being rewarded for a lot of these behaviors that aren't necessarily good, incentivizing him to keep doing them. He's not gonna have that maturity to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, it gets views, but maybe I should step back because I might be hurting other people or I might be making a nuisance of myself. Like, who gives a fuck? He's like, yo, nigga, this shit is successful. That's it. And we're surrounded by young success. And not only are we surrounded by young success is marketed to us as like, yo, this is how it should be. Every single person you talk to, walk up to your friend right now and be like, hey man, do you want to be successful young? They're going to say yes, because that shit is a flex. But with age comes a lot of experiences that are going to help you maintain your success. If you guys don't know, I am someone who literally dropped 3 videos and blew up on YouTube. And at the time, I felt like that was the best thing that could have ever happened in my entire fucking life. I damn near threw a party. I was refreshing my page and I was going up thousands of subscribers. I think in like the span of a week, I went from like 5 to like 20,000 subscribers. And what that does to your brain, I'm gonna be honest, man, like there's no drug, and I don't do drugs by the way, but there's no drug that I feel like can compare to that feeling. But the problem is there's a lot of skills that I could have been developing if I didn't blow up so fast that would have helped me properly navigate that success a little bit better. And instead of me trying to appease to this new audience that I have that all came at the same time and trying to replicate the first thing that I did, I would have been able to probably develop more of my own style. You know, there's just so much freedom and slow growth that I feel like people don't really understand because everyone wants to be successful so fast. And when that blow up happened, like I feel like I did a lot of things impulsively and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I started tossing a bunch of shit at the wall, seeing what stuck. Then eventually I got to this point where I'm like, damn, I don't only want to be known for this one thing. Let me try something else. And sometimes it went okay, sometimes it didn't. But like, I'm gonna be honest, even for me, and I'm not anywhere near a level of like a Rakai or any of these other kids that are like really going crazy right now. But like, yo, I have been brought to some mental lows just because I feel like I blew up a little bit faster than I should have. I didn't know how to navigate that success. I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of YouTubers that came up around the same time as me that I feel like went through a similar process, sometimes not even to the same degree that I did, and straight up like they're not around anymore. Thank God I was able to like find my balance with this shit and kind of, you know, get back on track, because I think content creation is something that ultimately is for me and something that I enjoy and something that I've studied for so long, to the point where like I knew certain things that some people didn't, and I kind of had an understanding to an extent of how to navigate that success. But like, what about some of these kids who are just replicating what they're seeing and they're being rewarded for that? They're not being rewarded for being themselves. They're not trying to find their value. They're not trying to better the world. They're not even trying to like actually analyze like, hey, I know I'm just being funny or being a nuisance for the camera, but what value do I actually bring, to the point where sometimes like even when I can't think of a gimmick, I can still get some content out there. I can still be consistent. And like, it's oftentimes nothing. Like, and not even to say that like they can't think of it, nothing is encouraging them to think in a logical way in terms of their growth. Nothing, like, you get what I'm saying? It's just boom, method, rinse, repeat, method, rinse, repeat. Where's the intentionality? Where's the pattern recognition? So yeah, man, overall, don't mind the dogs barking in the background, but I don't think young success is as much of a blessing as people lead it on to be. I definitely understand the concept, and I understand how it's a flex. Anything that you do that other people can't do or have not done, and more importantly with youth, miss the opportunity to do. Because once you aren't successful young, it's not like you could say like, yeah, I could go back and I could be young again, I could try again. No, like that's it. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like people have that FOMO and they're seeing the good parts of it and they're like, yo, I want that. But have some grace, man. Give yourself some grace, be kind to yourself, and understand that you are exactly where you are probably supposed to be. Slow growth is amazing. That kid that bought that house at 18 is more likely to lose that house by 25 than you are if you bought that house at 25 or 30 or 35, because all the foundational work has been done. Now all you got to do is rinse and repeat. Imagine being someone so young who doesn't even know themselves, who built a foundation off of something that they liked at the time and thought was okay at the time, and then eventually realized like, damn, you know what, I was a kid, I don't like that shit. I actually didn't like that. This isn't how I wanted to present myself. And the thing is, like, I'm not even saying I'm exempt from this, man. There's streamers older than me that I feel like went through the same thing because they blew up around 18, 19. Like, it's just, give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, and understand that you are probably exactly where you need to be. Slow growth is the best, and put that young success shit to rest. Bars, hope you guys fucked with that video. I'm out. Thank you guys for watching.